I almost gave up. It has been so long since I've been behind this microphone that, like, I almost was like, you know what? I'm not going to do it anymore. I just knew I couldn't give it up like this. I couldn't give it up right now.
Hey yo, hey yo, hey yo, welcome to my channel. Hey yo, listen up, yeah. Hey yo, the wireless woman.
Hey yo, welcome to my channel. That's season 2 theme song. Slaps, you hear me? Okay.
Live people ignore the strange and unusual. I myself am strange and unusual.
Back to our regularly scheduled program. Hey yo. I am your girl, Debbie in the Key, the original wireless woman, dusting off my intro and welcoming you back to my spot, our spot, room 303. If you are new, welcome to my crew, but my returnees. You know what we do. If you like this video, well then, like this video. Let the comments reveal how you really feel. And if you're feeling the vibe, well, go ahead on and subscribe. But before you blink, share this link. It's been like almost a month since I've seen you. And I am back from my break.
Guess who's back? Back again. Shady's back. Tell a friend.
And back on my bullshit.
Glad to be with you and all your bullshit.
I made a promise to myself and to all of you when I started this channel that I would take breaks when I needed to. I know that in order for me to be my best self and to offer the best of what I have to offer,
I'm giving you the best that I've got.
I gotta check out from time to time, and so should you. So should you. But I'm back and better.
Hey, I'm back and I'm better.
Today we are going to be opening up season 2, my wireless or nah season. And this season is all about basically the wireless woman versus everybody. I'm going to be here, there, and there, a little bit of everywhere, taking on those hard conversations, starting with today's episode. And this episode is going to be one of just a few episodes where you're actually going to get me all to yourself. We're going to be talking about the Black Ops, the enemy within. But before we can get into today's content, you already know what time it is.
What are we gonna do tomorrow night?
The same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world.
It's time to call the roll. So I need all of my bold black women and any cooperative black men that I have who like to come to the front, because it is time to read aloud.
Shit, you in charge of the girls, right?
I am in charge of the girls.
Are you in charge of the girls?
I am in charge of the girls.
Okay.
All right, Wi-Fi's, welcome back to season 2 of The Wireless Woman. We are going to be talking today about the Black Ops, the Black opposition, and the enemy within. But before we get into today's content, go ahead and do me a favor on your way in and like this video. Why? Because when you like it, well, I love it. Make sure you go ahead and drop me that fire headphones emoji and your comments below. If you're feeling the vibe, go ahead and subscribe to this channel. And as always, share my content, because we are, after all, trying to build a community of conscientious thinkers.
Everybody wanna be black, but don't nobody wanna be a nigga.
I am here to speak to the Black female delegation today and say we are in a most troublesome state of affairs.
Molly, you in danger, girl.
Our men are in some vehement competition with us. That's the only explanation for why they are working so hard. You know that here on this channel, the Black woman is God.
Yeah, I say the Black woman is God.
And thus, in order for us to strive for equality, Black women, we would have to take massive steps back to compete with our men. So I propose something. How about we continue to move forward? Now, by all means, I am open to all conscientious males who would love to put their strength, their dignity, their protection and provision to this community that we are trying to build.
We are talking about the survival of Black people, nothing else.
But we are currently under a state of attack. It's like the machines attacking the Nebuchadnezzar at this point. Where I'm not really sure if the ship is going to survive this relationship that we have between Black women and Black men is being threatened by the very people that depend on its success. And I find that quite disturbing. I do what I can to ascribe all Black division to white supremacy.
Django here is a Freeman. This nigga here? That nigga there.
However, we have to start where we are with what we have. That's what I said in the first episode of season 1. And I'm not fully sure that we have all hands on deck. Not every Black face has a Black consciousness.
The parties which they allegedly represent doesn't mean anything. I'm saying you can't tell a Black man by the color of his skin.
I'm pretty much at my Harriet Tubman point where whoever ain't coming with us, well, they ain't getting to go back.
I made it this far on my own, so don't you tell me what I can't do.
We're going to have to protect the Black female image, even if it means division amongst those males that don't see it as being imperative as we do.
The jail you plan for me is the one you're gonna rot in.
The biggest threat to Black progress has always come from within our ranks.
Y'all niggas, and you gonna be niggas forever, just like us, niggas.
The lack of our ability to have a community within this white male patriarchy today lies within the inability, for various reasons, of our men to build for us a community wherein we could both thrive.
What the hell do you think we care about dying if you're gonna deny us the right to live?
I do think this allows us a unique opportunity to course correct. From the dawn of Black nationalism, Black civilization, we have been dealing with treachery and betrayal within our ranks.
Neutralize him by any means necessary.
Unfortunately, the hand of white supremacy reaches its way all the way down into our community, and now we're seeing the rise of misogynoir, of this Black form of oppressive misogyny.
And because men are seen as expendable within the society, no one bats an eye, no one gives a shit.
You seem to at least be in your 40s. You had plenty of opportunities to get somebody to marry you. You didn't.
We're going to have to see the benefits of banding together. Like, it's something we should have been able to see on a community level before we got to this point of being divided against our men. But now we're going to have to deal with an even smaller microcosm of the Black community, which is just us as Black females. There's a scarcity model that says that because there's so few Black men, we should compete to the death for them.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
However, I can't see how we win when we negotiate with terrorists.
Go fuck yourself.
No, we don't negotiate with terrorists.
We are losing our men. Well, here's the thing. We've been losing our men for quite some time to many various different things. We've lost them to gang violence. We've lost them to the war on drugs and the mass incarceration. This cannot be what Black men use to entice and compel our compliance at this point, because we have gone too long in our communities with too great an absence of men to now all of a sudden acquiesce to that. I don't really think it's our fight at all. You know, I can't see myself arguing with people that Harriet Tubman would have shot. We have to ask ourselves the question, how did we get here in the first place? We have watched our organizations be pulled down from within.
We traced the call. It's coming from inside the house. Do you hear me? It's coming from inside the house.
Just as much as we talk about white enslavers, we have to accept that the slave trade was an industry that existed in Africa that employed a lot of Africans in the business of catching and enslaving their own Black people.
And for that paper, look how low we are stoop. Even if you in a band, you still in a
This was an enterprise that made a lot of rich African families their fortunes as well. Like, that's the reality of the situation. And when you fast forward here into this country, there have always been people with capitalistic mentalities that were willing to sell out their own people. There is a fungus among us, wolves in sheep's clothing, thieves in the temple, one might say. And we as women, although it is not our responsibility, are, and I'm feeling like an echo chamber by even saying this, going to have to take accountability for the current state of the community. Taking accountability isn't going to look like some of our detractors would want it to look. It is going to come in the form of education.
No education. And the people that have been educated, they just said that we don't hate the motherfucking white people, we hate the oppressor, whether he be white, black, brown, or yellow.
And it takes one who wants to avoid the mistakes that have been made in the past and the future to really dig this history up and begin to see what lessons we can apply today.
Whether or not this beautiful race of people is going to survive on the earth. That's what we're talking about. Nothing else.
I'd like to draw your attention to something a little bit more insidious than just, welfare that took the man out of the house, the crack epidemic, incarceration, the 13th Amendment, and all of these things that we already know are a form of Black opposition. And I'm going to take you back to a day in the past. On this particular day, December the 4th, 1969, Jay-Z was born. No. That's not the only thing that happened on that day. On that day, the chairman of the Illinois chapter of the Black Panther Party was killed, Fred Hampton. The official cause of death, assassinated. The FBI used intel that they received from an operative. They had infiltrate the Black Panther Party and provide for them the information that they would need to end the life and subsequently the chapter, and subsequently unravel the whole organization from the inside out of the Black Panther Party. This is a group of people that did a lot of good for their community. However, they were ruined from the inside out.
We, meaning the FBI, I tried to come up with signs of him doing drugs or something, and never could. He was clean. He was dedicated.
Those who are among us that align themselves with white capitalism.
Get them caught up in because they're poor and they want something. And then if they're not educated, they want more. And before you know it, they'll be capitalists. And before you know it, we have Negro imperialists.
There's no way to wash my hands of what's going on in my community, in my culture, in this society, and still be safe. And so this is your daily reminder that Magneto was right.
The war is still coming, Charles, and I intend to fight it by any means necessary.
We got this really big issue in the Black community with infrastructure, and no amount of Black people getting richer has caused them to reach back and create institutions.
Well, you've made over $100 million in your career, right? 110 going to change your lifestyle? Realistically, you know how many people you can change lifestyle with $10 million in our hood, in our communities?
Now, we have seen a decline in just about all of our institutions. The Black church, which used to be at the center of the civil rights movement, our leaders were always religious leaders, entertainers, comedians, Dick Gregory, James Brown, I'm Black and I'm Proud, Marvin Gaye, What's Going On, Muhammad Ali, athletes.
Enough millionaires, billionaires Jews to help the Jews.
It's enough black people to help black people.
Right, so that's what we want to do.
Black leadership has always been tied to some sort of white institution. They've always been getting their money from white people, except for, like I said, the Black church, which was being funded by Black people. It was a community endeavor. Ultimately, Black people are being poisoned with capitalism. Capitalism says, I can be greater than my community. Our love of commercialism won't let us come back to our own community and build enduring, sustainable institutions.
Everyone wants to believe that they would be Fred Hampton, but there are a lot more William O'Neills in this world than there are Fred Hamptons.
We see the efficacy of the Black church is gone. It used to be if you were hungry, if you were needy, if you were homeless, more often than not, the church would be the ones to deal with whatever issues or hardships were going on in that community. So we've seen the pimps in our communities become pastors. We've seen the drug dealers in our communities become billionaires and multimillionaires. So now we see that this whole emphasis on community structure has broken down. The ones that pimped and pushed in our neighborhoods but have now been elevated. Okay, now we want to be like them, because this is our roadmap out of the community. It's no longer about elevating the whole community. It's about transcending it. Eventually, every institution works its way back to the Black family, to the Black marriage. And it's really under attack now in a way that we never seen before. Now we're battling the enemy within.
Until I realized that until you conquer the enemy in yourself, you can't deal with anyone.
And there's no way you can convince me that these red pill manosphere men are any different than the COINTELPRO. So I'm going to just take a moment and speak for Black women. Not all of them, evidently, because, hey, we got a war within ourselves. We have a lot of women that are holding on to the patriarchy. I don't want to be free. Because one, it's really all that we know. And two, there is a promise of protection in it. If we can put our men at the head, like men are at the head of other communities of women, then maybe we can be like these women. Maybe we can have men that build infrastructure and institutions for us that protect us and provide for us. But these male identified women are doing to other women that are in the same system with them. You're creating a competition that nobody can win. I'm going to go ahead and speak for the women who ultimately will be the builders of the community and say,
Go fuck yourself.
No, we don't negotiate with terrorists.
We're not going to change. We're not going to change to be wives for the type of men that we see right now.
They're gonna kill him. And we'll weep for him.
We're going to be better women. and we're going to be better women for the types of husbands that we deserve. Here's the thing. It doesn't actually cost us anything to say that, to make that declaration, women, because these men, the ones that have abandoned their communities for wider pastures, aren't marrying those women either. Marriage is just not a fundamental institution that our men are going to build, because I make a good point here, because if they were going to build any institutions in our community, we would have seen some of them by now.
My thuggers and my cripples and my blooders and my brothers, when you niggas gon' unite and kill the police motherfuckers.
We don't have a Black Nationalist party, no political power. We don't have any economic power.
We are outgunned, outmanned, outnumbered, outplanned.
We are coming on the back of a pandemic into an economic recession. And Black people, even Black women with all of our wealth, are not prepared to withstand it. All of these corporations out here buying single family home, it's meant to go ahead and crush the middle class. The only way that white supremacy can hold on to power is that at times they have to allow certain groups of people that were previously denied whiteness, like Italians or Irish people. You know, these people weren't considered white before.
Whiteness is a moving goal line. They can just decide who's white at whatever time is advantageous to uphold white supremacy.
We as Black women are in a unique position where we have a choice coming towards us. We're going to be the new group inducted into white supremacy. If they give us the jobs and give us the loans and give us the economic power that we're already wielding, if they open a little door and let some more of us in and say, listen, there's space here for you too. Well, it allows them to be able to hold on to the power that we have in our community. It allows them to be able to separate us from other people in our community that build so that we are never a threat to them. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm going to let y'all know right now I'm on the fence about whether I'm going to join the force or not. I'm very Anakin Skywalker right now. It could go either way.
You were the chosen one. It was said that you would destroy this sin, not join them.
But I'm telling you this because it's true. It's what's really going on. And they're already dividing our men away from us with the promise of what white supremacy can give them in the way of preferences and non-Black women. So, I mean, we all doing the dance right now. We all doing the white supremacy dance. We got to have a solution. And the people we see in our community that are recession proof, the people that we see that win are capitalists. They're white supremacists.
Get trusted. Get trusted. Get trusted.
There are people that are coming up on the backs of crushing their community.
Which becomes like a phenomenon to me because I don't like white people and I'm afraid of Black men, right? If you could follow what I'm saying.
Shaka King, the director of Judas and the Black Messiah, said a lot of people think that the movie was about, you know, a righteous man versus an unrighteous man, but the movie was really about a socialist versus a capitalist.
You know, in Fred Hampton, you have a socialist and a Marxist. In William O'Neill, you have, you know, a pure capitalist, you know what I mean?
And I think that we so often assume that all Black people are with us, for us, not realizing that there are foundational belief systems that make us different. We can look back over our history, Black Wall Street, Rosewood, Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Dozens of other Black towns have been erased off the American map, not by burning them down, but by hiding them underwater.
White patriarchy and white oppression, I don't think they could ever have really taken down the things we built, if not for the infiltration of Black capitalism. Somewhere the moral fiber, the texture, the character of our men got compromised. Even with Martin Luther King, he's up there preaching all of this passivism and integration. Like, all it's done is really just put our people in a closer proximity to whiteness. And even in the end, when he came to realize that, in his own words, he had brought his people into a burning house.
There must be a revolution of values in our country. As Jimmy Baldwin said on one occasion, what advantage is there in being integrated into a burning house?
He was assassinated before he could use his platform to actually build his community. He was a part of pulling down the infrastructure that segregation had given us, the self-determination that it had given us to trade it in for white luxury. We are watching what privilege does. Like, we as black people see it with white people, but now we as black women are having to take an inventory of what it's doing to our men. How confused they have become about the original mission. And we as black women are in a pivotal place when it comes to either the building or the further deconstruction of our community. And I need you to know that the new Black Messiah is going to be the black woman. Well, here's what you have to remember about being the Black Messiah. It was his people that delivered him over to Pontius Pilate. It was his people that declared him guilty and said, hey, you know what? Give us Barabbas, the murderer. Instead, you take Jesus and dispose of him as you see fit. Well, you got this other faction of black men that are like Pontius Pilate, washing their hands of the situation, being like, I'm not really sure what any of this has to do with me or what you expect me to do about it. And in between these two groups, you have pretty much powerless black women in the midst of the throes of whatever the patriarchy wants to do with us. They need us to go half with them, but then they also want us to submit to them, but then they also want to compare us to groups of other women that don't have any of the community issues that we have as a result of the patriarchy at work in our community. And so I am here to really urge black women to see this time and this opportunity for what it is. Black women, we're having to move in so much masculinity that even just arguing with these men that don't build our community, because trust me, any man that's out building his community, like I'm meeting men now who have never even heard of the manosphere. You know why? Because they was out doing stuff with their lives, being productive, working jobs, taking care of kids and families, and they actually don't have time. The only men that are out here doing these podcasts and that we're arguing in these threads with, who can't seem to wrap their mind around what their community needs from them. And they're the ones that we are having to trick out for. They're the ones that we're having to go 50-50 with. These men are not going to be the ones to deliver this community from ruin. And so I just think we need to go ahead and unplug from that, competing against each other, men making themselves such a scarce resource. We saw that during the pandemic, people fighting over things that were in supply enough for all of us, but because certain people had access to it and other people didn't, well, those people got to capitalize. Those people got to say, hey, this roll of toilet paper is going to be $20. And that's what we're watching. We're watching inflation in our community. And while we're dealing with a war within, there's a war without. This war in Ukraine, it's a bigger deal than people are willing to make of it in this community. By the time things are an issue in America, they affect the black community way harder. We don't have the trains. We don't have the planes. We don't have the grocery stores. We don't have the schools. We don't have anything that we need for our community. We depend on the white male patriarchy for everything that we have. The same man that asks you what you bring to the table doesn't have a job to give you. The same man that asks you that expects you to go get a job from the white man so that you can bring money that you're given on your job home to go 50-50 with him. We don't have industries. We don't have businesses. We don't have intact families. And so therefore, not on a grand scale, because every institution and every community starts with the building block of marriages and families. So you can see the degradation of Black institutionalism all the way from the top, from these prisons that we're imprisoned in, from these political systems that we're kept out of, these economic systems that we're not able to participate in, all the way down to the way we run and manage our relationships, homes, households. We're really going to have to take our energy back, Black women.
I got enemies, got a lot of enemies, got a lot of people trying to drain me of my energy.
We're really going to have to build our community from the ground up. We have to start where we are with what we have. We need to learn how to grow food, how to can and pantry, so that we can make sure that when hard times come, as they inevitably are, we can take care of our children, ourselves, each other, and invariably, at some point, our people. But that has to start with us. They are predicting that the net worth of Black people by the year 2053 will be 0. But honestly, I think we're going to get to 0 before that point. So what I need is all of the Black women who can to go ahead and get those degrees, buy property. I need all the Black female educators. And like I said, Black men who don't want to be divisive.
Life with the right woman, Ike with the right, try to fight woman, die nigga, die if you strike woman. I question if you even like women.
Who understand that many of those early movements, the Black Panther Party, the NAACP, all of these Black nationalist movements that we had in the 50s and the 60s and 70s were headed, run, majority by women. It is just the dynamic. It is the makeup of the Black community. How do you fight white male patriarchy? With a Black female matriarchy. How do you fight white capitalism? Not with Black capitalism, like Jay-Z and Kanye West told you. No. You fight it with Black socialism.
That's the people thing. Socialism is the people. You're afraid of yourself. If you're afraid of socialism, you're afraid of yourself.
But we live in a socialist country. If we didn't, we wouldn't have Social Security numbers. It's just that our middle class are the only ones that are taxed with taking care of the poor and the elderly, the disabled, and the needy, while all of the rich get to be capitalists. All they just do is make jobs for us. That's it. As long as they're making jobs for us, they are not obligated to take care of us. They don't have to make sure that those jobs pay a living wage or that they come with health insurance or any of that stuff. They just make jobs and go vacation on the moon, I guess. If we're going to protect, defend, provide for our homes in this coming recession with inflation being out of control, like turn off YouTube, turn off the podcast, and turn on the news. Like it's really real out here. And so I'm just asking Black women for you to take a step back and unplug, be unbothered, and be what your community needs from you right now, which is unleashed. Drop me that fire headphones emoji. Until the next episode, class is now dismissed. Thank you so much for hanging around until the end of the episode. If you liked this one, then you might want to check out this episode right here. And if you haven't already, you can subscribe to my channel by clicking this link here. I look forward to seeing you in those comments.
You're not niggas.